Hey guys, welcome to another corner conversation on the book of James. This week we're talking about James. No, we're talking a little bit. Next week we're talking about words. This week we're talking about mercy and actions and such.
Yeah, if you're going
Which
to,
is most of James.
if you're going to say you are something, something should happen.
That's the goal.
Is that it? We done?
Yeah. Rich's wrap up.
Good stuff. Well, no. It's the intro and the wrap up.
Do you, are there people in your world that stand out? How does somebody stand out as being somebody who puts their faith, their belief, their religiosity into practice? It doesn't necessarily have to be a story about that, but what are the things that I think there's such a wide array of how that stands out in people?
Why? I don't know. I don't know if I think about it that often.
There are people in our lives that we often point to as being the real deal.
Sure.
I think of
It's a lot of little things. There are those moments where people do something really amazing, but I feel like those things just get celebrated for celebration's sake, anyways. It's a lot of I posted a picture on Instagram a couple weeks ago of Noelle hugging some of the younger girls at our church, and to me that was just such a cool moment of, I don't know, Noelle in action, but really Christ in action.
Yep.
Just being, I don't know, above and beyond and welcoming and caring, and I don't know. I think those moments are the ones worth really trying to call out and see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's you talk about the big things, I'm gonna use the word flashy, not in a bad way, but just visible things are things that people see and celebrate, but it's the everyday little great, the everyday great things. I answered this for last week's too, but it's Michael Imholt in my life specifically is every day he's serving and trying to figure out how to serve and being available to serve. And last week we had our sink in our bathroom would not drain. It just all of a sudden stopped. And I'm like, I gotta go to this thing. What do I do? So we texted Imholtz and he was like, oh yeah, I can be there in 20 minutes. And just came over and snaked the drain. And and it's not like every single moment. It's just that's his belief of love and care and service, and everything comes out in availability.
Yep. Those things are kind of that's the compounding interest of faith. Is you see those the little things over time as you get to know people, as you're present around people, you start to discover how Christ is at work through them, through those compounding moments. First you're surprised by them, then it becomes normal, and then it's that's just who they are, and it's who they always are the whole time. But that's the value of getting to know people, is you start to be able to see. I think there are moments where you can see Christ at work in people's lives completely separate, but I think those moments are pretty rare. I think when you to really see it, you have to have that presence over time with people.
Yeah. I think so. This is not to defame anything. Is that a good way to start a sentence?
Yeah.
This would be a paragraph. Is that there's so much value in attendance, and there's so much value in even public commitment to Christ. There's so much value in biblical knowledge. There's value in giving, being generous to the church and to missionaries, and there's these things are and they kind of cross over to a bunch of different things. But the thing that James is really bringing to the surface is that you can check a lot of boxes, but how you love your neighbor, how you care for people, I love in the James brings this to the surface kind of repeatedly through the text is that this tone of, wow, good job, but knowing is that's not the battle, that's not the finish line. And so I think that the challenge for myself, challenge for us in the community, is that commitment to Christ it's incredible. It is life changing. It's transformational. Salvation is remarkable. Being a part of a church is so valuable. And then in the midst of that, there's all these things that we can receive from Christ, but in the midst of it, too, we have responsibility to be a response to those things that we receive. And that's what James is bringing to the surface today, the second half of chapter 2. I think there's a pressure, just to push us into this part of the conversation, too, is that so when there's an expectation to be things, to be Christ-like, that can really quickly become a pressure that feels like, in order for Christ to like me, I have to do these things. And sometimes that's how James is heard, but the call is not to deserve it. The call is to be it because of how we are loved and cared for by Christ.
Yeah, I feel like there can be so much pressure to be Christ-like that you try to skip the steps to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was really common in my youth group experiences. And I struggle with it because there is a degree of truth to the idea of if you fake it till you make it. To be a good person, then you got to start just trying to do it.
If part of being Christ-like, the call, Jesus is so clear: love others like I love you. And if you say, it's just not who I am, it's so hard for me, I feel like you're never going to get there.
Yeah. And I really think, from my understanding, that love is an action word pretty much exclusively. I don't think love is something you necessarily feel. So
Easy talk got it right.
It's a verb.
Love is a verb.
Yeah. So I do think that one specifically. Yeah, I don't care if you feel like loving them or not. The call is to love them, and figure it out. And I probably err more on the side of it doesn't really matter what you feel about anything. You just
commitment should outweigh momentary feeling.
Yeah. Well, I think even people view commitment as itself as something that you're supposed to feel, versus something you just, I don't care how I feel, I'm just going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel really committed to this. Mm-hmm. Is a thing I hear often, versus my perspective is I am committed.
Yeah.
How I feel is irrelevant.
I think the challenge of how I feel is irrelevant. That's fair.
Rachel's not here to defend feeling.
I need my balance.
Yeah.
We do need her.
Yes.
But so James in paraphrase goes, wow, you say that you have faith and your declaration of that. Okay, well, I show you that I have faith by what I do. See it, look at it. And you can't have faith without, if you have faith, it's going to cause you to do something. And if you say you have faith and it doesn't cause you to do anything, James would say, is that really faith? And so you bringing that to the table is that when it comes to difficult things of loving people, caring for people, I think it's very easy to put a lot of pressure on, all right, Jesus, I have faith in you, so now make it really easy for me to love my neighbor. I have faith in you, so make it really easy for me to be generous. I have faith in you, make it really easy for me to try to be more Christ-like. And it's like some type of a magic trick. And I don't think faith having result or action is, there is the miraculous that's part of it. There is God's transformation inside of us, but then there's also a lot of responsibility that's on us.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like I have even thought, like trying to work this equation of James's words to say that, well, if I truly have faith, it's going to make these things just happen. And that's not really how it works either.
Yeah, I've been doing some writing lately about uh, just like God's provision or God's miracles, and just like I feel like it's easy to like outside perspective be like, oh, God did a miracle, so that means no one else had to do anything.
Mm.
But then I think of like just my experience in life is God's miracles are probably usually tied to like the hardest work I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always seem fair.
Mm.
But I think like faith is that same way of like it. It's a nice way to idealize faith. Is like I just put my faith in God, and then everything else took care of itself.
Yeah.
But really, that moment of put my faith in God is the moment where you have the largest hill to climb. Like the most work is in front of you in that moment.
Faith is a verb too.
Yeah, it's daunting.
Will you bring the something that we brought into conversation many times over the last couple months? I think is that our beliefs are can be clearly seen by our past. What we believe is part of our narrative, but faith is part of what our future narrative is. It's an unknown. It's directional, moving forward. And so, what I believe about how I'm supposed to love others is going to be evident in how I've been loving others.
Yeah.
And now that's not a give up moment, but then you say, well, my faith about how I should love others is going to be trajectory, and that's when you talk about. I mean, there needs to be a better phrase. It's not necessarily fake it till you make it, but it is.
To some degree.
I think it's
Do it till you beat it.
yeah. You just gotta start, and I think it's a barrier in lots of aspects of life in the world of starting is really really hard, and I think about just in our narrative as in the corner church world is that there isn't some greatness that we've been able to start and start and start and start. I guess 5 times now, but it is. I think it's some degree just a just willingness to give it a shot. And what if it doesn't work out? We just got to try. What if we don't have all the answers? We don't have all the answers. What if it's going to be really hard? Yes. And so that's in the macro. I think that's really true in the micro as well. You just say, like, I'm supposed to think about how I invest in the people in my life. And we just go, well, what if I'm not perfect? What if I screw up? What if it overextends me? All these different things that are great cultural reasons to not. The calling to be Christ-like is to have faith to step forward. That God will provide, and that who He has made us to be is going to prepare us for it, even in the mess. And just give it a shot.
Yeah, it's never the church planting process has never been easy. The opening up new businesses has never been easy, I think, but you have these moments where we can look forward and be like, okay, my faith says God is at work in the lives of people outside of us, in the lives of different people, different neighborhoods, different cities, and we want to be God, the body of Christ. We want to be God's hands and feet in those areas. We want to discover where God's at work. So that's faith going forward. Now, how do we know that that's actually been happening, that we have belief in that? Well, we've done it 5 times. And that is a good measure of like that faith, that those beliefs that we hold are true, and that we're going to keep trying. And my belief says that God is real because His provision along the way keeps happening. And it doesn't mean that there's no work.
Yeah.
It actually means there's a lot of work.
Yeah, in the hope you bring that, corner church piece of it, but you bring that to the why. is because it's not so there can be more entity or organization. It's so that there can be more people trying to walk out these things that James is talking about. And we don't need more gathering spots, but the plan of God is to have more people that are doing exactly like the second half of James 2 is calling. Hey, don't just say you have faith. Let that faith bleed into your life and let it be not just visible but be it in your world. And we have, again, you mentioned Noel earlier. There's other people as well, but just to say, what if every building, every block, uh, every family unit had a Noel in it? It would better. It's better. And
For sure.
and so one metric of that is that we've got to work really hard so that Noel can be everywhere. And that is true, but it's not just Noel. We need to work really hard so that there can be more people like Noel everywhere. And that's why. Let's do it. I'm into it.
That's good.
It's good.
You gotta wrap up, Rich.
I just think the mind shift of from fake it till you make it phrase to do it till you are it, and then keep doing it again. Like it's just so important. The love is a verb, faith is a verb. Do the things.
Yeah, the practices.
Yeah.
Cool. See you guys next week.